You are now listening to the Purple Fox Podcast.
Update.
What's going on, everybody? This is Kevin Eze, your host of the Purple Fox Podcast. Welcome to the Foxhole. This is another edition of the Purple Fox Update. Today I wanted to do something kind of fun. Fun for me anyway, so I don't know if it'll be that much fun for most if you're not a fan. But what I wanted to do was break down some of my personal favorite Matrix quotes with the idea of choice. Bit of a spoiler. If you haven't seen Matrix 1 through 3, this may be a spoiler for you, and you should probably turn it off now. But for those of you who have seen the series, the vast majority of people on the planet probably, you know that a common theme within the Matrix is the idea of choice, and choices being made, the path to the fork in the road, the choice to do one thing versus the other. And so I wanted to kind of parallel the quotes within some of my favorite quotes within the movie with what's going on today in our society, just the idea of choice and some observations I've discovered and made around choice in my life and in our common era. So how do we understand choice in our willingness to manifest it? How do we understand choice and our willingness to manifest it? I feel like one of our greatest powers as human beings is the ability to choose. That's one of the gifts we've been given as sovereign beings. And the idea is explored over and over within the movie. One of the first quotes, and we'll get this one out of the way early because that's the linchpin of the movie, you know. You take the blue pill, the story ends, and you wake up in your bed and you believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill and you stay in Wonderland, and I show you just how deep the rabbit hole goes. And that is Morpheus in the first Matrix movie. And so the idea around this for me is that choice isn't a one and done, you know, and you keep seeing over and over within the films that, you know, that isn't that's like the beginning for him. You know, it's one choice after another, as Morpheus actually just does say. It's a snowball of choices he constantly has to make, and the entire series he's racking his brain around these forks in the road that he must take as the one. So choice isn't a one and done. In every moment, we decide to keep seeing with the lens of the red pill or the blue. And that's true. You can either wake up to the reality you're seeing, see things for what they actually are, or you can choose to stay asleep. I mean, that's where the whole idea around woke came from before it became something completely different from what it was actually supposed to be. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without. This is a quote from the Merovingian, the Frenchman, in The Matrix Reloaded, which is the second film in the series. One thing that's actually really cool about the concept of the Merovingian, who I like to dub the Matrix parallel to Hades. And I didn't notice this before, but one thing I noticed watching the series again is that some of the major key figures, programs within the Matrix are allegories, and it's alluded to, are allegories to either Greek gods or mythological concepts that we've somewhat misunderstood, as they explain it in the movie, as a program doing something that's not supposed to, and that's from the Oracle. So the Merovingian as Hades telling our lovable characters that choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without. And how I parallel this with what's going on today is our social contract allows us to live together for mutual benefit. But if those we assign to govern our society begin to abuse that power, you know, they begin to use that power for their own means, to justify their ends, and seek to take away our choice, then that contract is breached. At least I would say. Do you think that's air you're breathing now? That is one of my favorite quotes from Morpheus in the first film. Do you think that's air you're breathing now? That was one of the biggest moments, I think, in the film for Neo around realizing that he's in a different game. You know, he's in a different realm of thought. You know, he's known what he's known as oxygen, the thing that he needs to breathe to survive, and now he's in this I don't know, loading zone, whatever they would call it, fighting Morpheus in this way. And Morpheus is asking him, do you think that's air you're breathing now? It's a very interesting scene. And how I parallel that today with an observation around choices. It's important to have a healthy sense of skepticism, which is hard to have when you're scared to the point of obedience. At that point, you're just looking for a savior to offload your accountability. So in this way, he thinks he needs to keep constantly breathing air the way he's been accustomed to from his life within the Matrix. But those rules are different now. And the fear that would have bound him to that behavior within the Matrix in his old life doesn't have to be present in this one. So it's now his responsibility to figure out the rules of this game he's now playing on this field where he can come in and out of the Matrix at will and realize that it's not actually what it seems. There's something underneath it. You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind. Morpheus, the first Matrix film. This is the scene where Morpheus is teaching Neo exactly what he can do within the Matrix. You know, the things that he hadn't even contemplated being able to do. And this is right before he leaps and bounds to a different building within the cityscape that they're training in. And Neo, he can't do it because he still hasn't let go of those things that kept him bound to the old paradigm. So my parallel to this is fear and doubt can weigh you down and keep you from realizing your sovereignty of choice. Choice is our greatest power, and fear is its kryptonite. Think in your life how many times you've been given a choice and then you've chosen one route as a manifestation of the fear you were bringing to the situation rather than your desire, your passion, your ambition, your drive. But then there's that other lane governed by fear. That's a safe route. That's the comfort zone. How many times have you taken that route? Exhibiting the fear that took hold. To deny your own impulses is to deny the very thing that makes us human. That's from Mouse in the first movie. And though he said it from a place of perversion, uh, meaning the program that eventually stops them in the loading zone is the woman in the red dress, which apparently Mouse has been saying that he has his way with occasionally. I mean, if you were in that world, I guess I don't know. That's how he passes the time apparently. But the parallel that I see from that is choice comes from our desire. It's a driving force. We have a desire to make the type of choices that fill our lives with a fire to organize, to build, to connect, and to love. But desire is the linchpin. If you don't have desire, you make those choices from fear. Those kind of choices that I talked about just previously. You've already made the choice. You're here to understand why you've made it. And that's one of the first quotes from the Oracle that I'll introduce. And that's from the Matrix Reloaded film, which is the second film in the series. You've already made the choice. You're here to understand why you've made it. And this second time, this time around, watching it in preparation for the fourth film, that this one really landed hard for me. You've already made the choice, meaning, for me, anyways, that your patterns, just your patterns in life up to this point, are ushering you towards having or ushering you towards the situation where you'll eventually come to that fork in the road where you make that choice for this or that. And your patterns up until now have given you the skills and the foresight and the uh, the the resources to then make the choice that you're already going to make based on your pattern. And so the parallel I glean from this is we sometimes neglect to ask ourselves, how is this right? One of my greatest spiritual teachers used to ask us this: how is this right? So, meaning in every single moment, asking yourself, how is this moment, this situation that's happened, this thing that I might consider negative, right? Where can I now move forward, seeing that this thing has happened and there's probably nothing I can change about it? How can I see the road ahead instead of crumbling into and inwards? We sometimes neglect to ask ourselves, how is this right in our lives? Accepting the things we can't change and moving forward with the things we can. In this way, we take full responsibility for our choices, conscious or subconscious. Meaning, when you ask yourself, how is this right? You immediately take responsibility for the situation that's happened in your life, as if you yourself created it, positive or negative. And you say, how is this right? What did I learn from this? What can I take from this? What can I now move forward with in my life? As painful or pleasurable or enlightening as it is, and continue on. Neo, sooner or later, you're going to realize, just as I did, that there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. That's Morpheus. Sometimes we know what needs to be done or said, but we continue to miss the mark. We just continue to miss the mark. because we're not ready to make that choice. We get right up into the face of the choice that we have to make, and we choose to blue pill it. Just go back to sleep. You know, I've got to finish this paper. I'm gonna pill it. I'm just gonna knock out, go to sleep. I've got to make this connection, this networking connection for this opportunity that I'm trying to create. They seem busy. I'll ask them later. You know, that kind of thing. Um, so sometimes we know what needs to be done or said, but we continue to miss the mark. We get right up in the face of the choice we must make and choose to blue pill it rather than follow through with that decision. You got the gift, but it looks like you're waiting for something. This was an exciting line by the Oracle in the first Matrix movie. I had seen the film before, but I keep saying second, this, this new run through of the series for me had a lot of insights. So the parallel I took from this is often parts of our old selves have to die off before we can clearly see the choice we must make. For whatever reason, the personal piece that we shed held us from the version of ourselves that would have been able to move forward with confidence in the decision made. And you see this in the film where Neo has to actually die within the film to realize this is another plane. And that's the moment he's shot by the agents and comes back to life and realizes that's what he's been waiting for. He needed that. He needed his old self, that Neo bound by fear, by doubt, needed to die in that moment for him to realize he was the one. And that's when he stopped being governed by fear. He took on his sovereignty, his accountability, his responsibility, and he became the one Morpheus was waiting for. I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it. Again, Morpheus in the first movie. This is when they first come to the Oracle, and he has to make the choice whether to see the Oracle or not. Because Morpheus he's brought him there, but he has to ultimately make the choice himself to go into the room and hear her advice. And for me, this reminds me of instances or phrases like you can teach a man to fish, or you can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, but you can teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime, or the whole lead a horse to water scenario. And the parallel I get from this is sovereignty is cultivated in an individual when you don't make their choices for them. They must be fully accountable to their decision. Anything other than that robs them of that sovereignty. So when you keep giving that man a fish, he's not becoming that sovereign being that he can be. If you teach him to fish, you've now given him the resource to fully own his accountability. He takes responsibility for his life. And last but not least, one of my favorite bone-chilling quotes. I have not forgotten that which matters most. We are still here. This this moment on this new run through of the series for me gave me the biggest chills. Um, and you know, I noticed I was a lot younger the last time I ran through this series and watched it through. And the new thing now was me noticing one, the internal politics within Zion, him and his beef with Commander Locke, who was a very, very salty individual the entire time. Ugh. Um, and just how dire their situation was. But this line, and I have not forgotten what that which matters most. We are still here in the midst of this situation, this earth-ending, well, as they knew it, earth-ending, possible extinction event. Morpheus is reminding the people of Zion that they are still here. They've actually manifested survival, their will to live. They've beaten the odds in the midst of a situation that is almost completely overwhelming. I mean, and they're still in danger, but just to remind them of that. And the parallel I see from that is we've chosen to live, or we choose the lives we lead, what we believe, and who we follow. Our choices constantly manifest our reality moment by moment. In every moment, the choices we make, even, you know, the smallest choice, like, you know, taking out the trash in a timely manner before it can start to smell in your entire apartment, or buying a new cell phone, brushing your teeth. I don't know. The smallest choices. We're constantly manifesting our reality. You don't know what those choices will snowball into eventually. But the fact that you made those choices manifest a certain reality. It's that pattern from the beginning. That pattern. Why the Oracle tells Neo he's already made the choice. He just has to understand it. He's manifesting his reality with every single choice he makes. It's like a building block, a domino effect. Every single choice leads to an outcome. And that's beautiful. It just reminds me that it's never too late to manifest a different reality. We live in this world and so many people are making choices for themselves. I won't get too political with this one because this one, I wanted this one to be a fun one, but just to take in that your choices are yours. You're a sovereign being. You do what you will with your choices, and it doesn't really serve you to hand your choice over to some other entity, because ultimately you're robbing yourself of that sovereignty, that power that you innately have. You've been gifted with. It's yours. And I thank you for choosing to tune in here. So this is Kevin Eze with your Purple Fox update. Signing out.